Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Bar911970, and as always, you know that I thank you for watching my video. Whether you agree with me or not, at least we are all formulating an opinion and getting the ball rolling in communication. Now, with that being said, what I'm about to talk about is based on my experience, what I've seen so far between the people that are stacking silver and gold physically and the recent phenomenon of the Bitcoin people. Now, this doesn't mean this is everybody as a whole. I can only base it on what I experience. What I've experienced with the average silver and gold physical stacker is these people are not talking about becoming millionaires, driving around in fancy cars, getting tons of money, and living the luxury style of the typical millionaire who created the corporations and the governments and the banks who are destroying this country. What they tend to talk about, and I myself in the same way, talk about preserving our wealth and protecting what we have from the corruption of those very same people who use greed to steal our wealth by destroying the dollar because they took the gold standard away all around the world. They print endless amounts of fiat currency, which makes things more and more expensive and makes it more and more difficult for the average person to even just survive. That's what I see as a whole. Now, if anybody can show a video of me saying that I can't wait to become a millionaire off of gold and silver, please show it to me, because I've never said that. I've always said that I am using it for protection of wealth. Now, this is what I sense from the average Bitcoin person based on the comments that I get all the time now. And there seems to be a lot of anger. There's a lot of emotion here. But the average comment that I get is talking about how much money they're going to make. Now, you see the difference here? I have, for example, and I can't speak for anybody else, so I'm going to say for myself right now, I get physical gold and silver to protect my wealth. I'm not talking about how I'm going to buy a Ferrari with it. Now, could I? Who knows? That depends on how much gold and silver goes up in the next couple of years. But I'm not sitting there saying, oh, God, I can't wait to get that mansion. But I'm seeing a lot of people who are getting into Bitcoins totally talking about how I'm going to be sorry because they're going to be driving around in Ferraris and Lamborghinis and, they're going to make tons of money. That, if you are that obsessed with materialism and greed, it is no wonder why Bitcoins is becoming so popular right now. Because you are willing to accept the fact and justify that it's okay to not know who created it or who financed it. You're okay with the fact that people like Max Kaiser knew when to buy because we saw that it crashed all the way down to a penny. How did he know that after it was stagnant for so long that this wasn't going to die at that moment, and he should buy a crap load of Bitcoins at that point because he knew it would rise? Anybody ever question him, how he got that information? Seems like insider trader information, if you ask me. But it seems people don't have a problem with this. Guys, ever hear about the whole story of the whole New World Order? How they want a one world currency? Anyone ever hear about how they wanted to make it a digital currency? I mean, are we not seeing that Bitcoin has that extreme potential where we have a digital currency where people can be making lots of money right now, and people are just going into it not questioning things that they should, like who created it, who's financing it, why was it stagnant for almost a year and then all of a sudden shoot up the way it's doing right now? People, if you are in it because you're making money, you're in it for the wrong reasons. You're being suckered by greed. And I know that's going to anger people. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, where do you get your education and things like that? That has nothing to do with this, because let me tell you something. Many a person who have screwed us over in the world are highly educated people who have gone to very fancy schools and got very nice fancy degrees. So if you want to base everything on somebody's educational background, very smart people created the nuclear bomb. Very smart people created banks and governments. Very smart people are on the television today as we speak, giving financial advice that works to their advantage. I don't understand this. And I know I'm going to get attacked, and that's fine. My job here is not to anger people, it's to get them to communicate. And until we learn to be able to communicate like ladies and gentlemen that we are supposed to be, because remember, with all this technology, we're supposed to be civilized. I don't see it as a whole. We need to wake up on this. They're dangling a carrot in front of you, and this is what I talk about. This is how the system stays alive. It gets people at its core emotion, which is greed, saying, oh, look here, stay in this system, and we'll give you some money, and you'll drive a fancy car. You may even live in a nice house. But guess what? They're able to keep their mansions. They're able to keep their corporations. They're able to keep control of the country that ultimately will keep you down. So you could drive a nice car? Really? Is that what's important to you? Is this what you're going to teach your children? Well, it doesn't matter if something's corrupt or potentially corrupt. Even if it sounds strange, don't question it as long as you make money. Some of you should be ashamed of yourselves, because let me tell you something. People for the past year have not been bragging about bitcoins, but it's how they trick people. They get people on that emotional roller coaster. They know how to use your emotion. And people, all of a sudden, they start seeing other people starting to buy it. So, oh, I got to buy it. I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to see, well, I heard about the New World Order and the one world currency, and even though they said it was going to be digital, which is exactly what bitcoins are, I'm not going to question it because everybody else is doing it, and I don't want to be different. And we wonder why we're so easily led. This is why one sheep herder can control 100 sheep, because they'll all follow one another what they do. Be an individual. If you think bitcoins are amazing, don't sit there and tell me fancy words and try and make yourself seem superior. How about researching who created it and why? How about asking people like Max Kaiser how all of a sudden they knew the right time to buy it and all of a sudden it just skyrocketed? Ask yourself, why am I so worried about how much money I will make? I find that very funny when so many people say they want bitcoins because they're tired of the corruption of the dollar. And yet, all I'm hearing from the majority of the people, and again, I'm basing this on the comments that I've been getting. It's not like I'm making this up. Read the comments and you'll see a lot of people that are investing in bitcoins are pretty seemingly greedy people, justifying it by how much money they make. Well, here's my advice for you guys, the ones that are doing things, anything, just to make an incredible amount of profit. You are helping to feed the system, and you are part of the problem, and I'm sorry if you don't like somebody like me because I say what you don't want to hear. So yes, there's plenty of money to be made, even in the gold and silver community. There are people out there, and I'll give a quick name, like people like Chris Duane, who I started watching when he was giving incredible information about what was going on in the world, and then all of a sudden he became a used car salesman and started selling his silver. He worked everybody up to a frenzy, built up their emotion, built up their greed, and then he said, oh, guess what, guys? I got silver. I'll sell it to you. So even though he made videos about how we got to get away from the dollar and how the system is corrupt, all of a sudden he had no problem selling some of his silver, which he said was so protective, for some fiat currency so he can become wealthier. People know how to pull the strings of those who just will follow anything. Stop being a follower. Be a leader. Be an individual at the very least, but stop being a follower, because you're just going to be led to the slaughter. And let me tell you something. When a farmer has cattle or sheep, he doesn't beat them up. He feeds them. He shelters them. He may even pamper one or two of them. But that's because they're fattening them up to go and kill them. So if you want to base things on greed, you will make money. But don't complain about how corrupt the system is because you're contributing to it. Now, I'm not trying to sit here on my high horse and think I'm better than anybody else, because no, I fell into that trap with Max Kaiser with the gold and silver too in the beginning, and that's why I bought some at $40. The majority of my gold and silver I bought between 2006 and 2008, so I bought way before this increase. But I was following that train of, oh look, it's going up, it's going up. We gotta keep doing it. I'm a lot smarter now than I was then. I don't base it on emotion anymore. And what they do is they trick you. They want you to buy it and get into it while it's on the rise. The wealthy people are wealthy because they buy at rock bottom, and when it hits a peak, they dump it on the people that they know will buy it because they want to make what everybody else is making. They work on your greed. And most people get angry because they don't want to realize that. So they'll justify it in any way they want. You can justify a murder any way you want, and you can even make a good reason for it. It still doesn't make it right. So a lot of people are going to hate this, but I'm not here to become popular. I'm here to speak up. I've had a lot to learn. We all have a lot to learn. And until we can work together and realize things that we need to ask questions, especially when there's mystery behind something, we all need to know. And we know what? Sometimes we may never know the answer. But I'm comfortable with the fact of not being Mr. Popular when it comes to my gold and silver and not joining the Bitcoin wagon. I don't believe in it, and I'm definitely not going to be into something I do not believe in. And I see so many people trying to convince me and saying, I'll be sorry. Really? I don't worry about it. I'm not here on this planet any longer for materialism. And people wonder how easily we are led to the slaughter. And I'm not a very religious person, not anymore since I've researched. I definitely believe we have a creator. But I'll tell you something, especially the religious type of people, if you are a very religious person and you're basing your Bitcoin ability on how much money you're making, you're definitely not following what you believe in. But that's a topic for another time. So, that's all I'm going to say. I look forward to the nasty comments because I don't think all of us can learn to communicate well and realize, guys, I'm here to kind of stir the drink. So I may not say everything perfectly, but if anything, I make you think, and that's why you'll respond. To those who don't, if you think Bitcoins is the right way to go, God bless you. Have a great time. I hope you make tons of money. But don't complain that the people up top that make a shit ton more than you, who have control of you, whether you believe it or not, just remember, you gave them part of their ability. You're giving them your power. They're not getting it from me. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace, peace, peace.